Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the Enchanted Book Club's January live show. Hello. I guess we'll give it a second for some friends to appear, but welcome. My name's Steph, and we have our other hosts, Jane and Sasha. Esme will not be with us today, but Esme will be joining us next time. So feel free to check out the Discord if you're not already a part of it, which is in the description below, so you can help us choose picks for future months. But today we're talking about In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, and we have opinions.
Yes, we do have opinions.
So, yeah.
Do you know the rating of that book on Goodreads?
No.
No, I actually didn't saw it.
Oh, I'm scared. Scared.
Oh, I need to check it now because it's interesting.
Yeah. So it
Let's
is.
see.
Ooh,
Oh,
it
okay,
has,
it isn't bad. Like it's 3.72.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
It's
and it
okay.
has
Yeah.
been read 272,000 times. So
whoa.
it's kind of
Wow. Yeah,
That's
that's a
fairly
lot.
popular.
Yes.
Popular.
I don't get
Yeah, so like in general, unfortunately, all of the hosts, like all of us, didn't enjoy the book. But we can talk talk everyone what we thought about it and which star I think we gave it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Hey.
Have a good time. So should we I guess like you said, Jay, we can go around give ratings and then talk about, can we do non-spoilers for a little bit? Possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Jane.
You want to start? Me? Okay, I will start. So first of all, I have the physical books. I will hold it, so it will be more pretty. But basically, it's my fourth Ruth Ware book that I read. I read 3 books by her in the past, and I actually enjoyed them. This is the only one that I didn't enjoy, and I gave it 1 star, unfortunately. I have a lot of thoughts about this book, but the main one is that this book feels to me like a first draft of a book and not a real book that went through an editing process. Like this is just how it felt to me. And I found out that this is Ruth Ware's debut, so it makes sense to me because I read other books by her and like the writing was okay and everything felt interesting to me. Like I read 3 books and none of them were less than 3 stars, and also one of them were a new favorite of mine. So I did enjoy her books in the past, and this is the only one that I didn't enjoy. And I just felt like the writing here wasn't really fully completed. So this is why I didn't really enjoy it. Yeah.
valid. Totally valid. And before Sasha gives her points, John
Hello.
says, "Oh, hi, John. You're doing well. Natalie's here.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Yay. Feel free to vibe because we're giving ratings right now." And Jane just gave it a 1.
Yeah.
Sasha, go ahead.
So I read the ebook, and my ebook
Mhm.
like had 240 pages, something like that. I read 120 something, so still like almost half of it, pretty much, and I DNF'd it because where I stopped the book, for me it was just contemporary. I didn't get the thriller side of it, horror-ish or whatever. I was just like reading about people and a wedding, and I just didn't understand what I was reading about. And also, like as you said, Jane, it felt very drafty, and like the way it was explained and the narration and everything, just something was off for me. So I was just like really bored. And like we had the same with like Mexican Gothic. When something is horror-ish, whatever the subgenre of horror, I expect it to happen way earlier in the book. So that was my main issue with where I stopped. Obviously, I did not finish the book, so I might need some explanation like further on during the live to just understand where it was going. But from like where I stopped, for me, it was just a contemporary book.
Yeah.
Totally valid. So I was going to DNF it, but at a certain point, I was in shock of how bad things were going that I was like, oh, this is good content for a rant video, so I'm just gonna finish it.
Yes. That's a good
That-
reason to finish a book.
Yeah. So I gave it 1 star and whoa. I just was in my kitchen doing dishes and listening to the audiobook. And every time something would happen, I was just like, why? Why would we do this? It makes no sense. I don't, logic just wasn't applying for me. So
Yes.
Mm.
I really feel you.
frustration with these characters. So if anyone in the chat really enjoyed this, please feel free to say that you enjoyed it and tell us why. We would love to hear different opinions because I have a feeling this is going to turn into a rant fest.
But that's
Yes.
like, we're not hating like on the book or the author or whatever. That's just one book. None of us vibe with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
usually really enjoy Ruth Ware's writing. So, like, I read other books by her. This is the only one that I didn't enjoy. And I didn't DNF it because I was listening to the audiobook. So, it's easy to finish a book in audiobook. But
Yeah.
also, if I read it only physically, I do think I will also DNF it because it
Yeah.
just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and you said it was a debut novel, right? It was her first.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
felt.
Yes.
I agree with what Jane said that it felt like a pre-debut novel, that this was still a draft.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, true. I feel like so many things were put like in the part I read that would have make more sense if done differently, because I felt
Yeah.
like the twists and everything was just like put in the book, but nothing was connected or nothing was done in a more organic way, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And that's, I felt like, as you said, like it was a draft or whatever. I was just reading like someone else was writing the book, like one chapter from one author, the other one from someone else or whatever. So it felt very like, I don't know, not for me at least. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So before we continue with any non-spoilery discussions, do we want to talk about next month's pick
Mm.
really quick?
Yes, I have it here, so we'll just mention it quickly before we will get to the spoiler part. But our next month pick is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Arnes. This is a romance contemporary story. From what I know, it's fake dating and enemies to lovers. It's super hyped up, so I'm really, really excited to read it. I know that it's really out of the comfort zone of Steph and Sasha, so it's going to be very, very interesting. But this is the book that was chosen. So we will talk about it in February.
Yeah. It is way out of my comfort zone, but the fact that it is fake dating and enemy to lovers, it's not just a romantic kind of book, if that makes sense. There is something else in it. So I'm intrigued. So I have hopes.
Staying positive. It's going to be great.
Yes, I really hope so. Yes.
It's going to be good. Hi, Hugo. Thanks for coming. And I started already. Oh, look at you. You're already ahead. Good job, Hugo.
You can join us also if you read it 1 month earlier. It's totally okay.
Yay. Okay, so non-spoilery thoughts. I might need, well, I know Sasha, you DNF'd it. So Jane, when we get towards like the second half of the book, I might need your help to accurately describe what was going on, because I think I re-listened to a bunch of chapters over and over because you ever listen to an audiobook or read something in a book and it just doesn't make sense in your mind. So you read it again and you're like, wait, no, I read this correctly. Why is this happening?
I feel like just the book was like this, like a lot of things in the book itself made me feel like I'm listening to something that isn't actually happening, but it was happening. It just felt to me like something happened and it didn't make sense to what was previously before the things that happened. So a lot of things also confused me, but like I listened to the book, I understood what happened, like what I could understood, because it was pretty confusing. But yes, I just felt like the characters were, I feel like just the characters in general, something there didn't felt really real. Like they didn't really felt mature people. Like it didn't make sense to me that, especially the main character of the story, like the whole story is that she's going to the party of the bride of some wedding, and this bride was her best friend 10 years ago, and it was really weird to me that the main character didn't get over what happened 10 years ago. Like it felt to me that it felt that she's feeling the same emotions she felt, but it doesn't make sense because 10 years passed. Like also, if you still remember what happened, it doesn't feel like actually 10 years passed.
But also like there are some people who it's hard for them to just move on, etc. So I kind of I can understand that, but then why would you go?
Right. Yeah. That's my question. Why are you there?
Why would you go? Like, why would you go? Why would you do that to yourself? And you will need like maybe even more 10 years to get over the fact that you didn't get over. Like that's for me, like because of their age and how you said they were not mature, they were like one-dimensional or whatever. I was like, I'm not reading about like adults who went through life, who have like obligations, bills or whatever. Like I felt like I was reading about like teenagers or so that threw me off. Like it was weird. I would have said no, I would not go. I didn't talk to you in 10 years.
Right.
Why would I go? Like just the setting.
I don't know. I feel like this is gonna sound mean. This is I feel like this main character is the kind of main character who, like, if they had a high school reunion party, they would be the person who goes to the high school reunion is like, I'm gonna make myself look very successful to show off and show that I've like got my life together for all of these people who I haven't thought about in 10 years. I'm like, that's not, she didn't feel like a genuine person. She felt like she was in high school. I'm like, the fakeness. I don't have the energy for the fakeness. Just like I don't like. I would not if she was a real person, I would not be friends with her. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, that's definitely. Yes, I didn't like the main character. Also, like she wasn't really logical. Like she didn't get over something, and then she's going to this party 10 years over. Like it doesn't make sense. But also throughout the book, she made so much things that didn't make sense, especially like in the second half of the book. She just acted really stupidly, in my opinion. So yes, just didn't felt really real, and nothing really felt real. Like it just was so weird. It again felt to me like a forced draft without perfecting the characters and the situation and all the scenes.
Right. Yeah. So, especially, I think it just I don't know, is it spoilery to talk about the first chapter and how the character like got into the situation in the first place?
I think no, because it's like the first chapter.
And it's in the synopsis, no?
I think, I think you're right. Yeah. So basically, in the very beginning of the book, the main character, I don't even remember their names, gets an invitation to this bachelorette party, which I guess they call a hen party, right? And she hasn't seen this person in so long that she's looking them up, I think, on Facebook or some social media to figure out what they look like and to find out if it's the right person. And that to me is the first red flag. Like if you don't even know if you don't even know if the person whose name is in the email, in the invitation, the same person that you're thinking about in your head, there's such a disconnect there. Why are you going? And like, I don't understand.
I don't know. And when she I don't contacted the other one to know if they were going, so she would go if they were going.
See, that to me also made me very angry because I feel like when I invite a friend to hang out, I go, or when a friend invites me to hang out, I go to hang out. Doesn't matter to me who's going because I'm going to be with that friend and it's a personal invitation. I don't say like, oh, well, let me know who else is going because if other people aren't going, then I'm not going. Like that's weird to me. I don't know, but that's just me. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I get what you are saying, but I feel like I could get over all of this in the beginning because I say to myself, okay, it wasn't done well, but without her going to the party, there won't be a plot in a book. So I get why. Yes, it's like the author just needed to do something. It wasn't executed well, but it happened for the plot to continue. But I just got more and more disappointment as the plot continued because it just continued not making sense in any direction, in just nothing.
Yeah. I feel like if at any time the main character could just get up and say, you know what, I'm going home, and then the book would end, that's not a strong enough premise for this book to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like I kept like I would have DNF'd from the very beginning, just with that setting or whatever. But I was like, okay, she's going to the party of someone she hasn't talked to in 10 years. But why is that person inviting them?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I kept reading at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the way it was done was really weird. And also we talked about how illogical the book was, and that's something that's a huge issue for me. Is like when a book is not logical, it doesn't mean believable, because fantasy in general or sci-fi is still not happening. It's not fantasy is not happening at all. Sci-fi, it's way in the future, but if it makes sense in the book, even if it's not believable or you cannot see it happening, whatever, it works. But here, like at least the 120 pages I've read, nothing was logical or believable or made sense, or I felt like was leading to something consistent or like dense, or I don't know how to explain, because you will need to tell me what happened.
Who will tell you?
Oh no.
Other non-spoilery things that we can talk about.
Did you like any of the characters? Like without going, no, not really.
None.
No,
like,
they were
again. None of them actually felt real, but also the ones that were more interesting than the others still weren't likable to me. Like I didn't like any of the characters. I don't feel like the idea itself of the book was bad. I just feel like the execution was the big problem here. The execution of the plot and the execution of the characters. I feel like this was the big problem. We actually talked about it in the spoilery chat in Discord. I talked about it with Steph a little bit, but we talked about it that Ruth Ware has another book, One by One, and this book is a similar premise. A group of people gets to a snowy vacation, and they are going like to middle of the forest or middle of the mountain. It's snowy, and then something happens, another thriller in the snow. And for me, and also for other people in the Discord, it felt like Ruth Ware tried to rewrite In a Dark Dark Wood. She just tried to write it again from the beginning with a little bit of a different plot and to make it better. And it was like, for me, it was a 3-star, but it still was a good book, like an enjoyable book. So I really feel like maybe even Ruth Ware doesn't really like what she made because it was a debut. Like, I don't know, a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, so we don't know. Maybe she was whoring with the debut or something. We don't really know what happens, but I do feel like she tried to take the same book and to make it better. So that's really interesting because it was really similar in some ways, and also some specific things in the plot were really, really similar, like little details. So that was really, really interesting to me. It felt really similar, but it was way better, like One by One.
But there are many books like with Let's Go to a Cabin in the Middle of the Woods or In the Middle of Nowhere that have some kind of like the core of the book is kind of similar. So you have to play with the characters and like the twist, etc., to make it like unique, different, and to make it. I don't know, but by itself, like just the theme, like going to the woods, even though it's for a party or whatever, can be very similar to thousands of books.
Yes, the thing is that some little details were similar in One by One. like things. We talked about it a little bit in Discord, and I don't want to make spoilers, but some little things and some little things that happened, and just things in the plot that were really important felt a bit similar. Like some scenes felt similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't
feel
read
like
that
we
one.
need to dive into the spoilers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will say, as far as the other characters are concerned, I felt like there wasn't enough variation in characters, and that none of them were likable, possibly for the reason that they were all written as not great people or not great friends in order to throw us off and make us be able to say, oh, well, who is it? Because everyone is equally a jerk. Just like,
Mhm.
that's not, that to me, that was just boring. And I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, these people are mean. Why is she with these people? But then later on, I feel like she's also not so great herself. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. I have feelings.
Yeah.
I had the same impression. I felt like we were reading about two characters, two person or main character, and then all the others, because just the fact like they had obviously different names, and one was blonde, one was a brunette, whatever, but their behavior was exactly the same. Like they were just a copy of one each other.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I get what you're saying, Steph. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, think about it, and the character of the one that organized the whole thing, that was really emotional, and something happened. I do think this whole emotional thing was a little bit interesting because she was different from the others, but also like until the end of the book, it didn't really felt like we fully explored what happened there. And this is like example for something that had potential in the book but wasn't really executed well until the end. So there was like small details in the book that were interesting. Like we kept reading it for a reason, but yes, like overall, except this character that I just thought about it right now, all the rest felt the same.
Yeah, I might need your help, Jane, because I don't remember the characters' motivations. I just remember like when we finally get the explanation, it wasn't, one, I don't think it was handled well, but two, we didn't get enough of that character's like explanation and the full detail as to how this got this way. It was just like, oh, I did this, and then you did this, and then this is why we're here. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So spoilers?
Yeah, I guess I think that's it. That's all we can say for non-spoilers. So if you're here for the non-spoiler section, please feel free to come back for the spoiler section once you finish, but we are going to go full spoiler mode and explain a lot of things. So thanks for coming, and don't forget to check out the Discord so you can read the Spanish Love Deception with us in February and help us vote for our March pick pretty soon. But here we go. Where do we start?
Okay.
Asha, what happened?
Yeah, so where did you stop in the plot? Like what happened in the plot?
So from what I remembered, there was the big revelation of who the guy was, and then there was like a party, they were drinking or something, and our main character wanted to go to sleep or whatever, and someone was like, yeah, you're so selfish, you're mean, you should be downstairs, blah blah blah. And I stopped somewhere over there.
Okay.
Okay. So for me, I feel like it happened a little bit like near where you stopped, but I listened to the audiobook, and then at some point I didn't understand what happened, but at some point suddenly they were doing a science, like seance. How do I say it? Like talking with ghosts.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
The Ouija board and everything, right?
Yes, I don't understand how we got there. Like I just
you're in the middle of the woods. It happens in so many books when you're in the middle of the woods.
Knowing the ending, it had nothing to do with the ending, at least from my memory. So I feel like that was just put in there because it's a thriller.
Yeah.
Yes, it's another, like, it didn't really feel
paranormal
connected.
It's not paranormal. The answer is not paranormal. So
yeah.
Why is it here? Hi, Judith. Thanks for coming.
Hey, hello.
And bye, John. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
have a good day.
So what happened exactly, like in the book, like in a short, a few sentences, what happened from when she was considered a selfish for not going downstairs and drinking like a troll?
Okay, so Jane, feel free to jump in with me, but basically I don't remember if she started going on jogs in the forest before where you were reading, but she goes on jogs a lot. So she goes on jogs in the woods in the morning, and then there's a gun in the house. And basically one day it's early in the morning, and they wake up because they hear a noise and they see a person standing at the end of the hallway. They freak out, yelling. Someone grabs the gun and shoots the gun, and turns out it's the fiance that gets shot, and he dies. So
he didn't like he got he got injured from the gunshot, and they started to help him and to take him, and then they went into the car and they took him to the hospital. And then we didn't understood what happened, because there was a chapter, and then in the other chapter the main character was in the hospital, but we learned after that what happened is that they took the fiance to the hospital, and they got into an accident in the way to the hospital. But basically what happened after he got shot is that the other chapter was that she's waking up in the hospital. She doesn't remember half of what happened, so we don't know what happened, but she just doesn't remember. They try to investigate her, the police, and then in some after a few conversations, they tell her that she's a suspect of the murder that happened, and then she just trying to to prove that she's innocent and she isn't the one that shot the guy. But then they found her phone, and in her phone she texted the fiance, although she didn't actually texted him. Someone stole her phone, and she needed to understood what happened and why he stole her phone. And the thing that was the most confusing to me, she was in the hospital, and then she was supposed to be arrested and go with the police to the police station because she got released from the hospital. Yes, and she just escaped
the hospital to go back to the house to see if she can solve the murder herself, so she doesn't get arrested. And then she's there and she solves the murder. And then so while she's there, it turns out that while she was running, while she's running in a brand new forest in the winter, in the dark, she leaves her phone in her room, and it's the fiance, the friend who invited her to the wedding, who texted the guy, the other fiance, to come to the house pretending to be her, because in high school the main character was dating the fiance and she got pregnant. Turns out that the murderer, or the friend who invited her to get the one getting married,
the bride
was she cheating with the boy back then, or was she trying to get him from her?
Basically the man, the husband, the one that's supposed to be the husband, and the main character were dating, and then she got pregnant, and the bride, the best friend, she got into what happened because she initially wanted the boy, so she just told both of them lies so they will separate break up, and then she got the boy. So this whole thing happened because the bride just pretended to be the main character, and she told her future husband to come there to speak with her about everything that happened.
Right. Wow. So essentially what happened is that in order to make them break up, the bride sends a text message 10 years ago, does the same thing, uses his phone when they were in high school to text the main character while she's pregnant and say, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore. And then he never follows up. And the main character says, okay, I guess I'll get an abortion. And then she never follows up, and they just don't speak to each other ever again. No one ever, there's not another conversation. And then
And
10 years
she moved
later,
out.
and then she moved out, and then 10 years later, here we are. The first two are getting married, and yeah.
This is basically high school 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So the main
Hard.
this is where my memory is kind of like, Jane, I need your help, because I don't remember why the bride orchestrated all this to cause this if she got him.
So it is the bride who organized everything, not the friend who was organizing everything. Who was responsible for that whole mess?
No, I think that her friend, like the really nervous one, was the one that organized the party itself. But the bride is the one that organized like the texts. And
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Okay, so
yes,
the
like,
maid of honor didn't know about what the bride would do. Okay.
Yes. She went to the house, like she escaped the hospital and went to the house to understand who is the murderer and who sent the text messages out of her phone. And she was suspecting everyone. And then she arrived at the house and the bride was there. So the bride, like they talked about everything. And yes, I just feel like it just felt like really high school, and it wasn't logical. And stuff about what you asked, like that we didn't know why the bride did it. I don't think that we know. Like, I also missed it.
Okay, so maybe what wasn't explained. Oh, Judith says they got into a fight because he found out about. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But it happened like yes, you're right. It happened like in the current time of the story. The bride and the husband, they talked about some things, and the husband said to her that he felt bad because when they only met, like in the beginning, he did something similar to a friend, and he said to a friend that she isn't interested because he wanted her, or something like this, like something happened there. And then the main character told him that she did the same thing, and she pretended to be the main character, and like she's the reason that they aren't together. And he was really mad about it, and he wanted to elope in the wedding, like not to marry her. So she got like she got really crazy about the whole situation, and she just decided to do the party anyway. Like, instead of separating up and breaking up, she just decided to do the party.
Murder
party. Then tries to murder her like future husband. Yes, it was weird.
Whoa. But also, wasn't it?
Sasha is so confused.
Yeah, I am confused because wasn't it supposed to be a girl getaway or whatever? Why is the broom there? Like,
right. So the bride was texting. The bride orchestrated it because the gun was in the house, right, as like a family heirloom or something like that, and so was texting the fiance, pretending to be the main character, saying like, hey, it's been 10 years, I want to talk to you, and invited him at an odd time, like really early in the morning or like nighttime. So when he came, all the guests were freaking out, thinking someone was in the house, and he got shot.
Okay, that's what I missed, because I thought that he arrived at one point or whatever, and he got the text, so they met in the middle of the night, but he was already in the house. And now I get that people just freaked out when they saw someone in the hallway because they were not expecting it. I was like, can't you see that it might be someone that you know? Okay, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Yeah,
exactly. All the book is like this. Okay, it's actually really interesting what Judith, what you wrote, because for me it was the opposite. Like, I read 3 other Ruth Ware's book, and The Turn of the Key was my most favorite one. I really, really loved it. Like, it was for me such a good thriller, especially the audiobook. It was so thrilling. So it's really interesting that you really didn't like The Turn of the Key. But I was like the opposite. I really loved The Turn of the Key, and I didn't love In the Dark Wood.
But now, with everything that you just said, do you still consider the book thriller? Because I feel like it is more of a drama than thriller.
The second half of the book was like a thriller. It's like the first half felt like a contemporary, but the second half, like I get why this is the genre of the book, but it is like not. It wasn't really thrilling because it wasn't really convincing. Like it actually didn't. I didn't felt anything for the characters to be thrilled of what's going to happen.
Yeah, because I expect to have the chill or something tense or whatever when I'm reading like thriller, because you're also scared because you don't know where it's coming from and what is coming, what's next. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, that feeling wasn't there for me either, Sasha. It's okay.
That's why I'm asking if it really felt like just like, you have some show like TV shows, it's like this, like some family drama, one person killed the other one, not on purpose, or they were involved in some car accident or traffic, like money traffic or whatever. It's thriller-ish because you don't really know who started it or whatever because there is a gun involved. But by itself, if you don't get the feeling, like the tension, and you're scared or whatever, it's more of a drama than thriller-ish.
I mean, sense.
Obviously, I have not read it, so I cannot say it. But yeah,
no, I definitely get that. I mean, at this, I don't know because I was so ready for it to be over. It's like, can we know why?
Yeah.
No, but it felt more like a drama. Yes. Oh, yes, it was ridiculous. Yes, it's definitely made it a little bit more enjoyable to read because it was so ridiculous that it actually was like, what is happening?
Yeah. And the big revelation explanation on who did what, why, etc. Was it like in the very last chapter, or did you get like the info little by little in the second half of the book? Like,
it was all over the place. I feel like a lot of information was all over the place. Also, like it happened that the husband got shot, and then there was a drama and something happened, and then like the chapter ended and we were in the future, like in the future that she woke up in the hospital and we didn't know what happened. And it took a lot of chapters. Yes, until we found out what happened. Yes, it was so convenient. Like so many things in the book was so convenient, and it made it so unrealistic because like it can happen, but it was strange that suddenly the main character doesn't remember the specific hour that was the most important for the investigation. It was just so convenient that it was like ridiculous. Yes.
But what about the amnesia? Did she got hit on the head?
Like they were in the accident, I think.
In the car accident, and she blacked out. And so she couldn't remember what happened for the car accident until she went back to the house after escaping the hospital to talk to the bride. And I think, was there something with tea about like...
Yes, so there was also something with tea in One by One. That's why I said that One by One is similar. But yes, there was something in the tea. Like, I didn't understand if she tried to poison her, like the bride.
The bride tried to poison the main character.
Yeah. And I didn't understand why she didn't got poisoned. Like if she drank the tea.
I don't know. And I also don't understand how that whole scene where the main character is talking to the bride, she's having a conversation with her and she's reading the body language of the other person. And at some point she just clicks and goes, aha, it's you. Like you're, I don't know. It was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like really no one got over what happened 10 years ago, right? It's not just our main character at the very beginning. It's like everyone kind of got involved in some way.
Yeah.
Yes, it was weird. Yeah. I still don't understand what happened because she drank a tea that was supposedly poisoned, but she didn't got poisoned. So what happened?
Yeah,
maybe the stupid bride didn't put enough in it.
Maybe. But why it also wasn't explained, so like nothing was really explained. It's also like in the end, like when they like the main character realized that the bride was the reason that everything happened. But I didn't realize what happened after that with the police, because like the main character got escaped because she was the main suspect of the murder. So what? She told the police, it's not me, it's her. And that's enough. Yes, I escaped the hospital and I went to the middle of the forest, but it's not me, it's her. Like, what happened there? It wasn't logical to me that she just found the bride and that's it. The police is satisfied and everything is okay. Also, that doesn't, like, it didn't make any logic.
That's why it also probably feels like a draft or like a debut, or as you said, Steph, pre-debut novel, pre-draft or whatever, because there is no enough research on what the police needs in order to stop a criminal or the person responsible for everything. You know, if you just go to the police telling them, yeah, it's that person, and they say, okay, that's all we need, you know that they're missing like some research or something, you know. So,
oh, it's good. Oh boy.
But I'm happy I did not finish it at this point, because it's something that would have so confused.
Save yourself.
Yes, I finished it because the audiobook, I love the narrator of Ruth Ware's audiobook, so it was fun to listen to her. Also, if it's like, also the narrator got a lot better throughout the years. Like, she wasn't bad, but she got even better. So, like, in the more new novels of Ruth Ware's, it really feels really, really thrilling and really scary and just feels really, really good. But I just feel like everything felt really immature, like just in the beginning, which is okay. I just don't think it was a really good debut, but I do love her writing, like her other novels. I did enjoy them and I did enjoy her writing. But I do feel like in overall, Ruth Ware, like, she isn't really strong with characters, and most of the main characters of her aren't really likable, and like, I feel in overall that her characters aren't the best. Maybe that's why I enjoy her books, because I'm more of a plot-driven reader. But yes, like, most of the characters, it's not only the Dark Wood. I do feel like she has more problem with characters. But yes, like, I'm happy that she got a lot better, because I feel like it was just her debut that wasn't really good. But I read the Woman in Cabin 10, and I think this was her second novel, and it was just so much better. It didn't felt like a draft. It actually felt like a book to me. So yeah.
And the characters were okay in that book?
So yes, I feel like in general her characters are like, they aren't amazing, but it's not as bad as in a Dark Wood. Like, for me, in a Dark Wood actually felt like 1 star, actually felt like a draft. The other books I read by her were 3.5, 4 stars, and like, the only main character out of the books that I read by her that I loved was the one in The Turn of the Key, and this was like, this is the book that I love the most out of Ruth Ware's books. But like, again, it isn't as bad as in a Dark Wood. Like, it still made sense. Like, everything makes sense. Also, if you like the character less, they still feel like real people. And in Dark Wood, nothing felt real. Just everything felt
Yeah, but I feel like writing about characters and make them their own character, their own person, it's kind of hard. So starting like
it's really hard
with so many characters in them, and to make them all seem like different and their own person, with their own like behavior and whatever, it's kind of difficult, you know. Like, obviously I don't write because I know I suck at it, but I mean, it seems like difficult to do that. Start with
like
that.
Writing a book, it's really difficult. It's amazing that she wrote a book in the beginning. Also, if we didn't like it, it's still a really, really hard thing to do, which is still amazing that she did. But like it seems that we didn't like her first book, but from my experience with her books, she gets better and better, which is good.
That's good, because when was the book written? Because maybe I would have loved it back then, because I wasn't that like
2016.
Yeah, maybe not. But I mean, no, but like at least there are books out there, and there are people that are loving it when you check like the
Mhm.
reviews, etc. So at least
Yes, like the reviews are good. I didn't expect them to be that good, because for me it was like obviously a 1 star. But like it's amazing that other people enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Judith's comment, and like I read Turn of the Key pre-booktube, so I'm thinking to myself, like, I wonder if I reread it now, if I would feel differently about it.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I might give Ruth Ware another chance, just because I feel like this being a 1 star was so unexpected for me, having had read one of her books previously. So I'm just like, get one more chance, Ruth Ware. I don't know. Just popped in.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, oh yay, I'm glad that
Yeah.
you liked it.
Mhm.
Someone
Yeah.
positive. Yay.
Yeah.
Um
Probably things that I missed from the book. I don't know. I think like the pages that I've read, I was already confused. So
Yeah. Yes, I do feel like in the second half of the book it was more fast paced and more interesting, but at the same time, because it was more fast paced, it didn't made sense even more. It was even more confusing. So like I do feel like the second half was better than the first one. The first one was really boring to me, but it still was really, really confusing. Yeah.
kitty.
Oh, so
she always has
cute.
to make an appearance. Hello. Are you gonna say hi
She loves the camera.
to the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have enjoyed the book more if it had a fantasy setting?
No.
No.
I think the execution was bad, no matter what you will add to the book. Like, obviously, it can change, but I just feel like the execution was really, really bad. Like, the characters and the plot, like, how everything was written, like,
Mhm.
how we got everything, I didn't like it. So, I do feel like if it was paranormal, it won't really change, because the execution still will be bad. Yes, I would love it maybe to be more thrilling and more scary, like to
Yeah.
feel more like a thriller. Maybe this would be something that I would love to see in the book, because like the other books that I read by her, they were more thrilling. Like the Turn of the Key stuff, you also read it. I found it really thrilling and really like creepy at some parts, and just something felt to me really, really intriguing.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I struggle with fantasy books on audio, so probably no.
Yeah.
Like I need to be able to read it and take notes about it. Probably most likely annotate it to help me visualize things correctly. So maybe not. But can we talk for a second? And I think you probably read this part, Sasha, before you DNF'd it, about the relationship just with her friends and the people that were at the party. Were the comments that they were making about how they kept bringing up the past relationship between the main character and the groom was very uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable, but borderline bullying, because
Yeah.
they wanted to make the person feel like bad or whatever. And at the same time, you knew it would be the case with inviting that person to your party. So I feel for me it was bullying.
Yeah. It was
So
it was felt intentional.
yeah, and it was really high school. Like really, you're adult. I know that things can be like very funny or you love like gossiping or whatever, but don't do it in front of that person. It doesn't make you like
Yes, it also like
it's gonna make you dishonest in some way, but at least you're not gonna like be like doing it in front of the person, you know what I mean, and make them feel uncomfortable. That was just
yeah.
horrible for me. That was high school. Like it
Yeah.
felt wrong.
Yes, everything there felt like nobody got over what happened, although it was 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, it's so much. I don't remember anything from 10 years ago. So like, I don't know, like I was a child 10 years ago. So obviously, but also them, they were adults and maybe they remember more, but it was 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
I understand that some people needs more time to get over some stuff, but also if she didn't got over what happened, I don't feel like she would genuinely act like this 10 years over what happened. So yeah.
But also what Judith said after, I also didn't know why she did not go home because they were all awful. That also, first you accept to go to a party to talk to someone you haven't talked to in 10 years. Then you got kind of bullied or like whatever, talked about or whatever, and you don't go home. Like, why did you stay? What happened? What were you hoping for? There is something I don't understand there. She was expecting something, but what? Like some kind of I'm sorry or a clue?
So I do think that the reason that she didn't go in the beginning is that she wanted to see the bride and to understand why she invited her, but I don't understand why she kept being there. She did talk with I think her name was Nora, the one that she was in the room with. She talked with her a few times about leaving, so it's not something that wasn't an option. They also decided to leave early, just the whole shooting thing happened before they did, like before the day that they decided to live in. Like they decided to live in the next day in the morning, and everything happened at the morning of it. So they did decide to leave, but I do like it still feels weird because like in a real situation you would leave so much more quickly and you will feel so much more bad. Like she just let them be mean to her.
Yeah,
maybe it's like something about the personality of the character, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. But also, she got invited by a friend of the bride, okay, by email. Why do you ask that friend if the bride actually really invited you? Why don't you send an email to the bride or kind of contact her to know if it is true? Because you haven't talked to her in 10 years. You got invited by a friend. Maybe that friend, because they all seem like they're still in high school, maybe that friend wants to invite you, but the person doesn't know that you were invited, so they're going to make fun of you. So I'm just like, you're going to be invited by an email. Just send an email to the bride, ask, do you really want me there and why? And that's it.
It's not that complicated. It would be like for example, let's say 10 years from now we all stop, our book club is like not happening, and then it's Sasha's birthday and Jane sends me an email and says, hey Steph, we're having Sasha's birthday, it's been 10 years, you should come. Then I would email Sasha and be like, hey Sasha, I haven't spoken to you in 10 years, thanks for inviting me to your birthday. Like, so like you continue the communication. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, you don't go somewhere before making sure that it's safe and it's true and it isn't a scam. And also, like in the story, she went to a jog, and then the bride came in a car in a car, and then the main character, like the bride, asked her what you are doing here. And the main character, for a moment, like she thought, oh no, she didn't even invite me. Like what happens? She asked me why I'm here in the forest running alone in the dark. Okay, that's okay. But why did you got to the situation from the beginning that you are going to a party and you don't even know if you are supposed to be there? Like it's just weird. It's not safe, just not safe, and I don't feel like people will just go and feel secure like this, especially like the main character. Like, so yeah, I just wanted to say, like in the beginning, the main character was really a private person and really afraid from everything. Like she was only in her home. So I feel like a person with this kind of personality wants to just go to a party before making sure that it's actually safe.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, miscommunication. That's something that really bothers me in so many books, when something can be resolved by just asking one thing, one question, having one conversation, and because here, as you said, like when the person said, oh, what are you doing here? She took it immediately as like, oh, why did I come? Like she didn't want me here. So why are you somewhere where you're not even feeling yet like you're welcomed? Like, it is hard for someone to be somewhere and not feel welcomed. But you have no choice or whatever. So here you have the choice and you're doing that to yourself. And I was just like, does that seem like you love yourself? Does it seem like, do you think that's what you deserve? Like, because at this point, maybe it is, as Jane said, in the main character's character and behavior, maybe she's not like, oh, obviously she didn't get over what happened, but maybe she feels like she's responsible for it, so she deserves to be treated that way. You know, you can go further on that side as well, but I don't know.
It wasn't talked about.
Yes, like it's logical. Like there is a lot of reasons that she can act like this, but if she acts in a certain way, the author needs to explain why and show us why this is her personality, like what happens.
Yeah, and also if at the end she resolves the murder and wants to show everyone that she's capable of doing it, but she accepts to go somewhere where she doesn't know if she's welcome, and like it's just so weird. Like, it's not balanced for personality. I mean, I don't know. It felt. I mean, it feels weird.
Yeah, the whole book felt weird.
Yeah,
I don't know, but yeah. But I mean, also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the friend who she went with to the party, right? The friend who she still is currently her friend even throughout these 10 years. At the party, that friend was also making uncomfortable comments. Yes. So to me, that read to me as our main character has this entire time not been making great decisions as to what they keep in their lives or what their life is like, because it's kind of like, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are, right? So she has this kind of toxic person around her. She's probably a little bit toxic herself. Like, this is not a new situation for her to get herself into, apparently. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe she was okay with the bullying because she got used to it.
But maybe because like the bride was actually like the popular kid at school, whatever. And you know, sometimes like you see that in books, in shows, on TV or whatever, when someone not that popular get to talk to someone popular, they completely change even with their friends. So maybe outside of that bubble, that friend is actually our main character's friend, but within that bubble, they're kind of toxic because she's kind of
so yeah, that's logical. When you are in a bubble and you are acting like everyone else is acting, that's really, really logical. And if you like break everything that happened in the book, you can find logic behind everything. The problem is that while we are reading it, we didn't saw the logic because the author didn't execute the logic, like he didn't show us the logic. So there was a lot of potential to take it to a lot of directions, and like it's logical, it's really logical what you're saying, Sasha. It really makes sense. But why didn't it make sense when we read it? Because how it was presented to us.
That makes sense.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
that was not a good friend.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. It read as a high school reunion and not a bachelorette party.
Yeah,
like a friendly
bachelorette party. It was also like as a bachelor party. It was weird, I feel.
Yeah. I know, but it felt like from the very beginning, when she accepted to go to that party, I was like, okay, what's gonna happen between you girls? Because we knew something like this was coming. Like, we knew that something would come, or she would be like humiliated or something. I mean, at least
it's a book, so yes, if we're reading a book, we know that something is going to happen in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, I do. Like, I can see myself changing in some bubbles. You know, you acting sometimes a bit different. But if you start criticizing my friend, whatever the bubble, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave your bubble and go create my own bubble over there. Like, that's, it just can't.
There's lines, right?
Yeah,
there's lines that you draw.
and like you're making fun with someone. You're not making fun of someone.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
like
right.
laughing. That's not English. Laughing with someone, not of someone or whatever.
Mhm.
So I don't know. And also, like as you said, like repeating of like keep talking about the relationship from high school, whatever. Like doing it once, twice. Okay, we got it. But you continue. I mean, is that your only purpose in life? Was it the only purpose of this weekend, of this trip, or whatever? Like,
I don't know. And was it our main character? Were they like a journalist or right or something?
She was a crime fiction writer, like an author. Yes.
oh, okay, that's why she wanted to resolve the murder. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, it actually, like, there was a part of the book that something happened and she thought to herself, I remember it, how I don't know it, I'm a crime fiction author, how can I not know it? So it was like part of the book. It was nice to say it, but yes, it's still
I was
Now
like,
it kind of clicks.
yeah.
Now it makes sense.
yeah.
I was like, how are you a crime fiction writer and you still went? I don't understand. Like, is this
Yeah.
set up for me?
Yeah, it's like knowing about ghosts, still going to a cemetery, doing the Ouija board, and getting like in trouble. Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but that's okay. Okay, do we have any other spoilery things we want to talk about?
I saw it.
The guy friend, don't remember his name. Pressure the other. Yeah, I didn't like that either. I did not. They were also bullying, if I remember correctly, one of the other people that was at the party who was a mom, I think.
Yes, yes. About her, like there was the character that didn't had the connection, like didn't had a cell phone. Yes, so
and
she couldn't call her husband and her baby. And
it was her first night away from her children since she had kids, and so she was feeling like anxious, like, oh, there's no signal here, I want to check on my family, I'm really nervous, and he was pushing her to do drugs. It was not cool, not good.
High school.
No. And tell me if I remember this incorrectly, was she pumping breast milk for her, or she was saying like she just had the baby, I think, like really recently, and so for this
I think half a year ago.
Yeah, so for this
Something
person
like this.
to be like, yeah, hey, new mom, take drugs. The lack of consideration for anyone else's life like, it's just yeah.
Do we know what the others do in life? Like, what's their job, occupation,
Yes,
whatever?
yes. They talked about it in the beginning, I think. I just don't really remember, but I do remember that they spoke about it before the bride arrived. They just was like in a group. The bride still didn't arrive, and they were speaking about life.
I cannot remember, because maybe if we know that they're like in some sectors, like some doing like field or whatever, we could be okay. It's a cliche of that field or whatever.
Maybe I just don't remember because it was so quick. Like,
yeah, but
it just adds to the high school vibe of this book.
Yeah,
very much.
Art theater, some of them.
Okay,
so might be like that's a cliche, you know. So might be that for them, as everyone is doing drugs, everyone should. It's the way to have fun. So if you're not doing it, if the bride does it, you have to do it. I don't know, but
or the guy had something to do with it.
Yeah, but at least they didn't put drug in their drinks, as far as I remember, or in their food.
Until the tea.
No, something. Yes, just the tea in the end.
It was poison. You know, it wasn't like drug. Like they didn't drug our main character and then left her in the middle of the woods naked or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it could have been like the beginning of a horror book like this.
Yeah,
but it's not what happened. So at least that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other spoilery things or things we want to discuss?
I just have one question. The book covers how long? Like how long was the trip? Was it like just a weekend? Was it a week? I have no idea.
I think it was a couple days.
Yes, something like
Weekend?
3
Yeah.
days.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it was supposed to be a week, and then we saw like 3-4 days, something like this.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Because
Okay.
also that I had some issue with realizing how much time went by, etc. Wasn't like
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
whole, yeah.
Yeah. I think more time, if I'm not mistaken, passed between our main character getting the email in the beginning with the invitation and them waiting for the party to start than
Yeah.
the actual party itself.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so she got the email, I think, a month before, something like this, and then the party was just a few days.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. So, right, one more time before we go, we are reading the Spanish Love Deception next month. So, if you would like to read it along with us, we hope we love it. So we can
Yes.
to rave about that would be amazing. And if you want to talk with us about it, excuse me.
Hello.
The link to the Discord and Twitter and everything is in the description below. Thank you to everyone who came to the live show and who read this month's book with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Yay! Thanks, Evie.
Yay, that's amazing.
Yay.
Yes, I just want to officially close the book because
Yes,
we didn't
we
open
have
it.
a
So
book
if you have some
closing.
physical book.
Okay, I got one. Ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, go.
Yay! So
Go team.
yes.
Okay.
So this was in a dark wood.
Yes. So thank you
Yes.
so much, everyone. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye, everybody.
Bye,